Watch that film in its entirety this Friday, but for now, let's welcome one of the stars of Furious 7, the lovely, the talented Jordana Brewster.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Welcome. This is exciting. As I was saying to you just a few minutes ago, I got a chance to see this movie last night, and it certainly delivers in every respect you would hope.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to me a little bit about the fact that this is a film that franchises aren't supposed to develop like this, in that it keeps getting bigger in terms of scope, it keeps getting more intense in terms of the emotion, the fan base grows. I feel like I've asked you this the last couple films, this is surreal upon surrealness. Do you get used to sort of the way this has evolved?
You don't, and every time I read the script, I'm like, how the hell are they going to pull this off? I think it happened with 6, with the flipping cars. I was like, I can't even envision what this looks like. And then, and when we get on set, I always get to see like previs of second unit. Second unit gets to do all the fun stuff with the stunts, and then you get a little bit of a taste, but you don't really know until you see the actual finalized movie,
right,
what it actually is.
That must add a level of excitement for you, just because you can enjoy this in a way almost like an audience member. You obviously know these actors and the filmmakers in an intimate level, but your portion of the story, especially in this one, you don't get to be a part of some of the insanity that we just saw there.
No.
So are you able to kind of enjoy it, you think, as an audience member?
I did, yeah, and part of the reason I was shooting Dallas at the time, so
right.
I wasn't able to be on set quite as much as I used to be. But it does make watching it much more fun, because I don't really know what went on half the time.
But you also must take pride in the fact that these movies wouldn't work, obviously, if there wasn't an emotional core, if there wasn't a way that the audiences clearly identify with these characters and hold them close to their own. And you're a big part of that. You've obviously been in this from the start, and your relationship with the other key characters forms really the heart of this film. Is that something you're always excited and hopeful to see in the script, that like, I hope they gave me enough to make this meaningful for the audience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that Mia's kind of Dom's conscience and Brian's conscience, and they always kind of go to her. She's mama bear in a way, to sort of lead the way. I love that, and I feel like she's earned that, and that was something I really talked about a lot with Justin Lin. He always wanted the female characters to be super strong, and same with James Wan. He definitely wanted her to sort of be the emotional compass.
Talk to me a little bit about like going back when you first are in the running, or you get this role. Was it just another job on the first Fast and the Furious, or did it feel like it was going to be something interesting?
Oh, it was my second movie ever. I did The Faculty, and then it was my third movie. I was in school and a New Yorker, so I knew they were going to do a movie in LA about cars, and I was like, that sounds kind of cool, I guess. Like, I'll do it. It's like a summer job for me at the time, but had no idea of its scope, had no clue what was gonna happen to it. But then what I think made it special was I realized they weren't casting all these sort of heartthrobs, and it was like they got Michelle off of Girl Fight, and Vin was a really interesting actor. And so it's something magical happened with the casting of the film.
Yeah, and it's brought up a fair degree, but it can't be brought up enough that it's a truly diverse cast, which is partially what I think you're alluding to, and I think again that brings in the audience, and it makes it feel like this is, as opposed to a lot of Hollywood blockbusters that feel like you're seeing 10% of the world. You're seeing a really broad spectrum, and they've continued that as they expanded the cast too.
Yeah, we're a reflection of what our audience looks like.
Right, exactly. So it must have also, in those early days, being a part of it with Vin and Paul and Michelle, and you kind of all were at relatively kind of similar points in your careers too, to varying degrees. Did that kind of help it become manageable for you, like when it got big, to kind of be able to go on the journey with them?
I don't know, because we were all at such different points, because then Paul went on to do Too Fast, Too Furious.
Sure.
And then we all separated ways for Tokyo Drift. So I guess for the first one, it made it special that we were all, kind of at the same point in our career, yeah.
Did you, when you look back at the films, do they all blend together in your mind, or do each of them kind of have distinct
They
characteristics?
all have distinct characteristics for sure.
Yeah.
4 to me was like a little more sedate. We were all back in LA. I see it as like, I don't know, I see it in terms of like colors. Like I see it, it's kind of like gray.
Right.
And then 5 was just my favorite because it was in Rio. It was just awesome. And we had the addition of The Rock, and that added like a whole new dimension to it. And then 6, I just remember London and the flipping cars. And
Hard to forget.
7's like a whole new, it's like 7's got this added dimension of emotionality, not just because of Paul, obviously, but also because of, I think James just brought a new taste to it with Dom and Letty and his addition of flashbacks and all the allusions to the past films. I just loved that about it.
Yeah, it's interesting in that, I mean, the films have always done a good job of that, of bringing characters back, et cetera, but this one more than ever feels as much a celebration of the franchise as it is charting a new course.
And it's something the fans can take part in, because like when they make, there's an allusion to like the tuna fish sandwich, like
Right.
if you're not a true fan, you don't know what the hell we're talking
Right.
about, but if you are a true fan, you do, and I think that's really cool.
Have fan interactions over the years, has it changed? Can you tell a Fast and the Furious fan from another kind of fan on the street?
Yeah, well, Fast and Furious fans call me Mia. So first and
That's a dead
foremost,
giveaway.
that's always a dead giveaway. And it's been, this year, it's really struck me more than ever that our fans have really grown up with us. And maybe that's because with this film, we're struggling with, parenthood, and Brian's struggling with, oh my God, do I want to be a dad and husband, or do I want to go on the road and like have fun?
Right.
And I feel like there's similar issues that our audience who saw us as teenagers are now struggling with. So it's interesting. It's like we've all just grown up together.
Yeah. Do you feel like, as much as the audience has grown up with you guys, is there like a gray area in terms of where the characters end and you guys begin over the years? Do you feel like it's gotten less distinct, more distinct in terms of you versus Mia and Vin versus Dom, et cetera?
It's definitely more distinct for me because I know my castmates so much better. So I can see Vin versus Dom and what a great actor he is in terms of pulling Dom off, because it doesn't seem like that much, but Vin is so distinctly different that now I see how different he is. And in terms of me and Mia, like she's just so damn selfless all the time and strong. And
you're totally selfish and horrible, right?
I'm horrible. I'm just kidding. No, but I am far more selfish, especially when it comes to my husband and kid. I'd be like,
Right.
you guys are staying home and staying safe, but Mia doesn't do that.
And it must add, it's a no-brainer, but in recent years becoming a mom and being a mom on screen,
Oh yeah,
this is helpful research.
Yeah, I was. That's why I did it.
Right.
I
You're
was
so committed.
I was faking it in 6,
Yeah.
and I could empathize and relate to what that must be like, but I had no idea. And then in 7, when Jack's in danger, I mean, it just hits you on a whole different level. So yeah.
Throughout the franchise, since there are so many characters to serve, have you felt proprietary over Mia, where felt like you've had to say, I think she would do this, or wouldn't do this, or make suggestions, or generally speaking, have the writers been true to what you envisioned for the character?
Generally speaking, they've been pretty true to what I envisioned. But the great thing about having Vin as a producer is that if something's not working on set, he'll work on it for like 6 hours
Right.
or 5 hours. And if a scene's not, we would have these sessions with Paul and Vin, and I would just talk it out and rework a scene. And we did it on this one actually, and that's how much the fans matter to us. It's like we're not taking anything for granted. This has to be really good or it's not going up there.
It's funny you say that, because in my experiences talking to Vin over the years, he invariably talks about the fans first. He is so keenly aware of his audience, the audience at large, because I think that's what he grew up a fan himself. Explain to me, how would you describe Vin Diesel to an alien from another planet? Because this man he's a unique individual.
He is. He's Groot.
He's Groot now. I mean,
no, he's Groot. He's extremely self-assured. He has a wonderful sense of humor. He's extremely smart and loving, is how I would describe him.
Nice. You referenced a couple of these already. So again, I think the fans are, especially the ones that have been through it from the beginning, are really going to appreciate this film and the nods to the past, the race wars, all of it.
Yeah, race wars are so good too.
I mean, is the tuna fish your favorite kind of callback? What are your favorite callbacks in this one?
Tuna fish is my favorite one, selfishly.
When you read that in the script, that must have been thrilling to kind of see. Oh,
Yeah,
they're
I was
acknowledging
excited. Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Because there's also like a tinge of humor to it, which I thought was good.
Right. Talking about a tinge of humor, not that it needed it, but you mentioned it before. Adding Dwayne into this mix in 5, and he delivers a lot of the humor in this one.
Yeah, he does.
And he is amazing.
He's so
like
funny.
the best human being on the planet.
He really is.
He's my favorite.
Yeah.
Talk to me about because I feel like that was kind of a turning point for the franchise. Obviously doing very well the first 4 films, but 5
Right.
changed it and turned it into a kind of a global phenomenon on another level, right?
In scope, I just feel like, well, it was the location change, moving to Brazil, and I just think the stunt pieces got bigger and bigger and bigger, and Dwayne, I think, just elevated us to like just more of a blockbustery kind of movie in a way, is what happened.
Yeah.
And now he is kind of the comic relief.
Right.
Tyrese is as well, though. Tyrese is pretty
You've
funny.
got a lot of big personalities.
We do. Yes, we do.
And
We
somehow
do.
it makes it all work. It's like a weird Avengers of your own you've created of superheroes, real life superheroes. You mentioned some of the locations. That's got to be a perk, both in promoting this film and bringing it around the world, and also shooting it. Do 1 or 2 jump out at you over the years in terms of places that really have made an impact for you?
Yeah, I mean, going back to Brazil to shoot was amazing because I grew up there, and like that's where I decided I wanted to be an actress when I was growing up. So to go back and have my whole family go to the premiere was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then promoting Fast 4 or Fast and Furious 4, just being on tour and going to Spain and spending like 2 days at a time in all these beautiful locations was amazing.
Is there one kind of place in particular where you get recognized more? I mean, LA is home base, so and that's a big part of the franchise too. But one country or one location, generally speaking.
No, can't think of one.
Okay, fair enough. She passes. It has to be acknowledged that this film, obviously you alluded to the passing of Paul, it really does act as an amazing tribute to him too. It must be satisfying for you, or just you must take a great pride in seeing what they accomplished and how they treated it in a very mature and respectful manner.
Yeah, I was really, really relieved because first, we came back, and I was cautious about that. And then we didn't really know how it would turn out, and it's such a delicate balance when there's this huge commercial aspect to a film, but then again, we're mourning a dear friend that we've all lost. So it's like, how do you sort of reconcile those two?
Yeah.
And I feel like the movie does a really beautiful job because it's entertaining enough that even I was able to like sit back and just enjoy his performance in a way and appreciate it, and especially since it's the last thing he did.
Yeah.
And yet, the last, I think, 5 minutes are such a beautiful tribute to him, and it was tasteful, and I was so relieved.
Yeah.
I really was.
Yeah. Best possible of a really sad outcome. Talk to me a little bit about, this franchise, it feels like there's no end in sight. Like, it could go on in any kind of iteration as the cast expands and morphs, etc.
Because now we all have kids, which is cool, like Jack.
Next gen,
and
you
then,
can just do Muppet Babies of...
seriously.
Dating myself.
And then The Rock has a daughter.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is that exciting for you, both in terms of your potential to continue in the franchise? Do you want to sort of be on this ride for as long as whatever, or do you feel like there's going to be a time where it's appropriate to let other folks have their fun in it?
I like what the Bond movies did. I like that they're different incarnations, and I like that new directors give a different flavor to the franchise. So, as long as the fans want us to go on, we will.
Yeah.
And I love being a part of them. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I would never want to jump the shark. I would
Sure.
never want fans to like get sick of us and for us to start failing. That would suck.
But the beauty of your films is, like, again, on that stunt level, it seems impossible to jump the shark because you go to
We have. It kind of feels like...
But it works for the franchise.
Yeah,
in
does.
other
It
contexts,
totally
it would
does.
never
Yeah.
work to see the things
Maybe
you
if
do.
we went to space, that would be jumping the shark.
I don't know. I think you got The Rock in space. I would watch that.
I would watch that too, actually.
You mentioned, let's talk a little bit about the filmmakers, because they've been an important part of it. Justin, do you credit him as much as anybody in terms of building this franchise?
Big
Justin
time.
Lin?
I think he brought it back to life, basically. With Tokyo Drift, which was so... I made a movie with Justin called Annapolis, which was this...
Oh, sure.
This boxing movie with
Franco,
James
right?
Franco.
Yeah.
And no one would have thought, like... In the same way that James, coming from horror, like Saw movies,
Right.
to this, no one would have thought Justin, could have thrived in this genre, and yet he did, and And he did such a beautiful job with that. And then he decided to bring us all back for 4, which was so awesome. And then sort of turn the franchise on its head in 5. So I really do credit him with that.
James is a big, assured personality too in his own right. You have to be to helm something of this size and magnitude, and as we said, the personalities involved.
Yeah.
What do you think he brought that was a little bit different, that was necessary at this stage in the franchise?
Well, the thing that he brought that was the most valuable to me as an actor, and that I was so relieved about was, it's always amazing to me how someone can handle so much pressure. Because these movies are a lot of pressure, and this one especially, and there are so many personalities to deal with and handle, and James, just as like Justin was, he was cool as a cucumber, and like so patient and calm and kind, and just seemed to always have it under control, which is really what I want in a director when I'm acting. But what I thought he brought that was different was, again, the sort of, it was something I saw in The Conjuring, sort of this art with like the flashback scenes with Dom and Letty, because when I read it I was like, I don't know if our audience wants that. It's bordering on maybe a little too romantic, but he did it in a very artful way, and I thought he pulled it off beautifully.
When you look at your own career, like where were you at when this all started versus now, and how have you changed, do you think, in terms of what you bring to the profession, what you bring in terms of attitude on set? Are you more self-assured? Does this going through this journey change you in that respect?
I was, on the first one, I was a college student. Didn't really think I had to work on being an actress, which is so arrogant, but I really thought like I had all the answers at 18. I was like, oh yeah, no. So this is like a natural thing that just comes to you. And now at 34, I'm a mom. I think I've gone through a lot more and have been humbled by that.
Right.
And now have worked on, myself as an actress and personally, and I think I'm just way more open and humble than I was back then, and open-minded. Like back then, I don't know, I just thought I knew it all. Kids are funny.
Well, also the fact, you were working with Robert Rodriguez early on, you were working in this franchise, and it's like, oh, it's all going to be easy.
I totally thought it would be easy,
And nobody has a career like that where it's total smooth sailing. There are bumps in the road.
Yeah.
Does it spoil you when opportunities come around because you kind of know what a successful franchise feels like, you know what success feels like, and is there less of an impetus to take a chance on other things, or are you like, where's your creative head right now in terms of?
It's not. It doesn't spoil you. But it gives you. It's kind of like great insurance. You know what I mean? It's like when the first one came out and was really successful, I was like, okay, I can stay in school now because no one's going to forget me. Because there were so many people that were like, you're being so stupid to stay in school, and you need to, strike while the iron's hot. And I was like, I'm okay to stay here. And similarly, I feel like being in the fourth one sort of revived my career in a way, and it's really nice to know that they're there.
Not a bad thing to lean back on, to know it's there.
Totally.
It's
really wonderful.
I'm sure you guys have some questions for Jordana. I think we've got some microphones running around.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
My name is Somali. My question is, how did the cast transition from having Paul work to having his brother, and did he fulfill up to Brian's character?
Did he live up to Brian's character?
No worries.
Well, one of the fortunate parts about the fact that we've worked together for 15 years is that we could lean on each other for support, and that was really helpful when we came back to set. So it was really hard, but the crew, like the makeup artists and hair people and camera people, like they had known Paul, and they were all mourning as much as we were. So like if we had to take breaks to cry it out, we did that, and we all supported each other. And then having Caleb and Cody there was an act of love on their part, and we wouldn't have been able to finish the movie without them. So we were really grateful for that.
Hi, what's next for you, and is there another genre you might want to break into that you haven't done before?
I have a really dark sense of humor. Like I love Breaking Bad, now I like Better Call Saul. I like British TV shows as well because they're so dark, so I'd like to do something a little darker. And I can't say what's next because it hasn't been announced yet, but something cool and very different. I'm going to start shooting it next month, and hopefully they'll announce it soon so that I can talk about it openly.
Is it going to be another Fast and Furious? Just want to know, being at the death of Paul.
I don't know. I don't know if there will be. It always depends on the fans and whether they want one. I kind of hope so.
If I were a betting man, I'd say
You think so?
I'd
You
say,
think so?
I'd say yeah. Judging
heard
by the
some
response
rumors.
last night, I would think. Yeah, Vin's already talking.
He talks and then he stops talking, and then it's like I don't know.
Hi. Of all the cars you have driven, which one is your favorite?
Of all the cars I've driven in the franchise, it's the ones I haven't driven that are my favorite. I like Dom's Charger, and I like the bad guys' cars in Fast 6, the Aston Martins. Those were awesome. So if asked, that's what I would want.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
My name is Dave. My question is this: is the action different from the beginning to now, in terms of the cities you filmed at?
The action?
Yeah.
Well, shooting is so different. Like back in the day when we shot, it was so boring because like the giant races, like the scenes with all the cars, like we'd have to wait hours and hours and hours for them to reset all those cars. And now most of it's done either CG or second unit, so it's a lot more fast now. It's very, very different. And second unit, who's doing all the stunts, is having way more fun than we are most of the time.
Hey Jordana, I'm Ginger.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Question, you're a fashionista. Are you going to come out with a clothing line anytime soon?
Ooh, while I was on Dallas, I really wanted to do that. I wanted to pair up with Rachel Sage Coonan, the costume designer who I loved. So that is something I really would have a lot of fun doing. I would love to do that.
Having done all of this kind of action and also playing and balancing that out with being the mother, the real mother of the film, what have you taken away from that, the balance between action and the parenting and the family idea, that you think you'll apply to your career and apply to yourself in some way or another?
Well, as far as, I mean, I'm in the luckiest career as far as balancing goes, because I have the luxury of taking my son wherever I go, and the oddest hours ever, where sometimes I work at noon, sometimes I work at, 6 a.m. And I have to remind myself of that every time I feel a little bit guilty that I'm not with him. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm just constantly trying to balance and juggle and haven't. Career direction, as a mom, besides the dark, I do love TV. I think it offers more structure, and that's really good. Comedy is also something I'd love to try that I haven't ventured into yet. I've ventured into a little bit with Home Sweet Hell, which was a really fun movie, but comedy would be really fun.
What is your favorite memories with Paul Walker on and off screen?
The very funny thing about Paul is that there are literally no bad memories whatsoever. And my favorite on-screen memory is, or one of them at least, is shooting in Puerto Rico when we did that scene in Fast 5 where we jump off the roof. Because Justin surprised me that day. Like, I had no idea I was doing a stunt. I came into my trailer, there was a harness there, and I was like, what the hell is this doing here? And Paul was like, never bragged about it, never talked about it, but he was a black belt. He was super athletic, did his own stunts, knew what the hell he was doing. And like, he was so patient and loving with me that day, and like said, okay, we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, jump. And then 1, 2, and like he just choreographed it for me. And then had to remind me like to not make my face look like I was like petrified, which I did initially. But that was just and then he was so happy for me when I did it and like kept cheering me on. That's just like a testament. Like, he was just like that, and he was like that with everybody. And off screen, it was definitely the conversations we would have, where I would just confide in him and he with me, and he was just a dear friend.
Hi. I'm Rachel. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I really love the movies and I love the driving. It's so exciting. Did you get to do any of the stunts or learn any of the stunts?
So a lot of the driving is done like green screen. So it involves and Paul was really good at this because he was the best driver and knew the most about cars. I don't. So like I'll fake drive, and then like they'll be like, keep looking ahead. Like at this point you've lost, because they'll like scream things at you like, okay, now to the left you see the bad guy, or to the right, and I'm just not adept at it. But that's the kind of driving we do, really. And then with the first one, we went to this cool racing school in Vegas, and I was too chicken to learn anything, so I didn't have my license. I barely had my license at the time, but the boys definitely had a lot of fun. Yeah.
As if you need another reminder, Furious 7 opens this Friday. See it with friends, see it a bunch of times, enjoy yourselves, and give it up for Jordana.
Thank you.